כל מרקרה ומרמיקרה, כל הבצר הציר וכל חסדו כציץ השדה. נווה שציר נבל ציץ, כי רוח אדוני נשבה בו. היכן חציר העם, יבש הציר נבל ציץ, ודבר אלוהינו יקום לעולם. A voice says, cry out, and I say, what cry? All flesh is grass, and all its beauty like the flower of the field. The grass withers, flower fades, when a wind of the eternal blows upon it. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God shall endure forever.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Down we go.
If everyone can come. הצור תמים פועלו, כי כל דרכיו משפט, אל אמונה ואין עוול, צדיק וישר הוא. הצור תמים בכל פועל, מי יאמר לו, מה תפעל? השליט במטה ובמעל, מחיה, מוריד שאול ויעל, הצור תמים בכל מעשה, מי יאמר לו מה תעשה? צדיק אתה להמית ולחיות, אשר בידך פקדון כל רוחות. חלילה לך זכרוננו למחות, ויהיו נא עיניך ברחמים ופקחות, כי לך אדון הרחמים והסליחות. God is sure, our immovable rock. All God's work is upright. Who can say, what is it that you do? The Eternal governs what is above and what is below, overseeing both the valleys of death and the heights of life. God is sure, our immovable rock. Who can say to God, what will you do? You are righteous in your dealings, in both death and life, and every soul.
Itzkowitz's have always been stubborn.
There's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, come on, it's up there. Yeah, move yourself. hold it. Take 5. Let's undo this whole thing.
Oh, and then you can just pull it.
The straps will go back the opposite way. Yes.
Just undo it and let's unhook the straps.
Can you unhook that?
There at the middle.
Right there, you're already there. No, not that, not
Hold
that.
it. Don't drop it
Right
down.
there where your hands are.
Just don't drop it down. We need to adjust this pass.
Dad, Grandpa.
Okay. Yeah. So everybody can sit down who wants to sit. Shaviti Adonai lenegdi tamid, ki mimini ba'alemot, lechen semach libi v'yagel kvodi, af besari yishkon levetach. I have set always before me. God is at my before us peace, and my soul secure. For you do not abandon us in death, nor let your faithful ones see destruction. You show us the path of life. Your presence brings fullness. Endurance is your gift. Adonai ma'adam v'tadehu ben enosh v'tashvehu. Adam lehevel dama yamav ketzel over. God, what are we that you have regard for us? What are we that you are mindful of us? We are like a breath. Our days are like a passing shadow. We come and go like grass which in the morning shoots up renewed, and in the evening fades and withers. You cause us to turn to dust, saying, return, O mortal creatures. Would that we were wise, that we understood whither we are going. For when we die, we carry nothing material away. No earthly glory accompanies us. But mark the wholehearted, and behold the upright. They shall have peace. Adonai, you redeem the souls of your servants, and none who trust in you shall be desolate. Death has taken our beloved Beverly. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence, there is lamentation. In their tears, there is loneliness. Lost in sorrow, may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Beverly's love that united in life and which death cannot sever. For her companionship shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind that brought joy and happiness and are now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. In this time of grief, we listen to the voice of our sacred scriptures, readings that bring us the old and yet new message of God's nearness. It tells of our kinship with our Creator, in darkness even as in light, in sorrow even as in joy, in death even as in life. Adonai mi yagor b'ohalecha mi yishkon b'har kodshecha. God, who may abide in your house, who may dwell in your holy mountain. Those who are upright, who do justly, who speak the truth within their hearts, who do not slander others or wrong them or bring shame upon them, who scorn the lawless but honor those who revere God, who give their word and come what may do not retract, who do not exploit others, who do not take bribes. Those who live in this way shall never be shaken. God is my shepherd, I shall not want. God makes me lie down in green pastures, leads me beside still waters, and restores my soul. You lead me in the right paths for the sake of your name. Even when I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for you are with me. Gam ki elech begetzal Lo irara ki ata imadi gam ki elech begetzal mavet lo irara ki ata imadi. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You have set a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You have anointed my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of God forever. Esainai El Heharim Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Me'im Adonai Oseh Shamayim Va'etz. I lift my eyes to the hills. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God does not let your foot give way. Your protector does not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is our guardian, our protection at our right hand, so the sun does not strike us by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard us from harm, guard our souls, our going and coming, now and forever. Kohelet wrote in Ecclesiastes, "For everything there is a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak." We pause now for moments of silent reflection upon Beverly and her life and all your memories of her. Following our silence, we will hear from her children. We pray silently. יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך, לפניך. אדוני צורי, צורי וגואלי, Adonai tzuri v'goali. Amen. The words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you, God, my rock and my redeemer. First we hear from Ted.
If you want to point to the camera, or just put a, yeah, it's more stable.
We were got here yesterday, so did my sisters, and so we went to dinner last night, and we were talking about my mom, and I asked, because this occurred to me, that whether or not anybody had actually received a phone call from my mother over the past 3 or 4 years, and we realized probably nobody. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because I would like to thank all of the people that communicated with my mother over the past 3 or 4 years. And we know full well she didn't call you, so you had to make sure that you called her. Thank you to the Braunstein side of the family, especially Aunt Judy, the Bernstein side of the family, the Itzkowitz side of the family, especially Aunt Zelda, and the Kahanowitz side of the family. Thank you for staying in touch with my mom. I know it was some work. Barbara and I would go visit her, and she'd say, so-and-so hasn't called me in a while. We'd say, Mom, did you call her? Well, no. So it was the most amazing thing. I just couldn't understand why she wasn't calling, folks, but she wasn't. I would also like to thank some additional people. First of all, my 2 stepdaughters who have been so supportive and so helpful to me. Their husband, Rachel, her husband, Todd, her 2 children, my grandchildren, Mia and Drew, and Sarah and her husband, Jamie, and her 2 children who are at an age when they're just wild. That's Jack and Olivia. And I would also, to my immediate family, to my sister, Fern, who came here every year for a number of years, spent a whole month with my mom, helped helped Mari, because Mari was working full time, and so thank you for taking such good care of Mom, and to my sister Mari, who with a full time job for years with constant interruptions and with just took the best care that anybody could take care of my mom. She's a social worker, so she has special skills, but this was beyond what anybody could ever expect. And she did it without complaining. She was just amazing. And my mother got years added to her life just because Mari was there. So thank you, Mari. I'd like to talk about my mom now, my relationship with her. I had a wonderful mom. I knew she loved me. I was thinking about it. I can't remember a single time when she said to me, "I love you," but I knew she did. It was what she did, how she acted, not what she said. And I really appreciate that from her. The other thing I started to think about was what were her core values? What were the things that drove her? And I came up with three. One, unconditional love for her children and her family. Two, a genuine and sincere caring for other people. And three was a work ethic. My mother was just amazing, and my dad were just amazing. There were weekends when were doing parties in the catering business, when they would work 35 or 40 hours just on a weekend. It was absolutely amazing. And so I wondered what drove her, what was her purpose in all this? And I realized her main goal in life was to get her 4 children to college and to pay for it. And she accomplished that. We all got not only bachelor's degrees, but my brother had a doctorate degree, and Fern, Mari, and I all have master's degrees. And we're all very proud of what we accomplished to do that. But my mother was just so proud of us, and I'm really, really happy that occurred. The other thing that I think she got from working so hard was that she got to do this for happy times for people. She did bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs and weddings and wedding anniversary parties and banquets where people were honored. All that kind of thing were happy times. And there were times when my mom was living in Scranton where almost no matter where she went, somebody would come up and say hi and say, "Oh, you did my wedding," or "You did my bar mitzvah," or something like that. And I think she got a lot of joy out of that. So, and the other thing I want to talk about was some inside the family Itzkowitz stuff. For instance, my sister's worried. My siblings all believe that I was the favorite child. They really believe that. I will tell you, I was not. I never believed I was, and I'll tell you, my mother agreed. I was not the favorite child. We never told. They're hearing it for the first time today, but this was a little secret Mom and I had. And every time all of the 4 siblings would get together when my brother was still alive, somebody would say, "Yeah, Ted's the favorite child," and my mother would sit there and smile and not say a word. And between us, we knew I was not the favorite. She didn't treat me any more special than anybody else. And when I was with her alone, she would always talk about Mari and Fern and Gary and their accomplishments and all the wonderful things they did and how proud she was of them, but never when all 4 of us were together. So that's just a family secret I'm letting out. The other family secret is my mother made up words. My mother had there were vocabulary words that never made it into Webster's that my mother used, and I'm just going to bring up 2. One is oogie. What does oogie mean? Well,
You're sick.
yeah, well, no. It meant was if like Mom would say, Ted's a little oogie today. He's not sick enough to go to the doctor, but sick enough to stay home. So we were oogie, or the weather's oogie. It wasn't raining or snowing or hailing, but it wasn't bright and sunny. It was a little overcast, a little drizzly. It was oogie. So did she make it up? And then my favorite one actually wasn't a word, it was a phrase, was chochel mochel. I assumed that might have a Yiddish or something, but chochel mochel was something was a little shady. For instance, the guy got himself a big contract, but there was a little ho-ho-mo-ho going on, which means something. Okay, or the guy was out and he was with a woman who wasn't his wife. I think there was a little ho-ho-mo-ho going on. So I have decided to start a research project to find out what ho-ho-mo-ho means. If anybody knows, if it's Yiddish or another language or something, or if you personally have been involved in ho-ho-mo-ho, I'd like to hear. And I guess finally there are two things that my mom gave to me that I cherish. One is unconditional love, and two is the greatest thing that a parent can ever give a child, an education. And I can't tell you how happy I have been to receive that. And then finally, my father passed away almost 37 years ago now, and now my mom is gone. And it's taken a piece of me that I just don't know if I can ever get back. And I'm sure if my mom was here, she'd say, you have to deal with it. You have to get it back. And so I will try, but it is going to take a long time. And so, Mom, I just have a quick little note to you. Dear Mom, I love you. I miss you very much. Signed, your favorite child.
CP.
Get the paper. Okay. My husband, who's in Israel, sent me a message yesterday, and he asked me to translate it from Hebrew into English and to read it today in his name. Grammy, we can't say that we didn't know that you were close to the end of your life, but when Brete called to say you had died, it was so painful and so sad. The Grammy Gaga era was finished. I had thought that I would have another chance to see you, but COVID had other plans. Grammy, on your final journey, I am beside you from far away in Israel, with great respect and wonderful memories of an amazing woman, full of life and so special in her own way. I will never forget our quiet talks together over glasses of juice at the kitchen table, with my slow English and no one to bother us. I'll never forget the respect you gave me by asking me about my family, my parents and siblings. Since my first visit in 1984, when I came with Fern to meet you and Grandpa Sid, afterwards with your granddaughters, you always made sure we had everything we needed. I had the privilege of showing you what an Israeli man was all about. In your words, handsome with dimples and curls. And we know how much you liked handsome men. I told you that I felt honored to be part of such a special family, to learn about the traditions and values that opened the way to my daughters, Avishai and Brete, to combine the East and the West in our lives. An interesting and challenging endeavor. It isn't always easy, but I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. It affected our lives with a rainbow of colors. Grammy, I'm saying goodbye today with gratitude and appreciation for everything you gave me. You have an honorable place in our lives. Thank you. It has been an honor to be part of the life of a special woman. And now we as a family, Ted, Barbara, Mari, Adam, Avishai, Nadav, Brete, Danielle, Amalia, Fern, and I must honor you by remaining a close and loving family with mutual respect for each other.
It's beautiful.
Mom, I left you 43 years ago when I immigrated to Israel. Coming back twice a year, sometimes by myself or with Ori, and later with my family, my two daughters, and even a visit with my first granddaughter, your first great-granddaughter. You were a strong and active woman, and sometimes I would watch you from afar and wonder how you did it. Living alone for more than 36 years after Daddy died, and making a new life for yourself in different places with friends, activities, and always a smile on your face. I'm so glad I was here for the last month of your life to talk a little, show you pictures of my family, and to care for you and to help Mari. I think this is the place to thank Mari for all the years she was here for you. She was your anchor, your go-to, your first call always. I will be forever grateful to her for how she cared for you. Mom, you never really forgave me for leaving you and moving to Israel, but I've forgiven you. Rest well, Mom, because you deserve it. Love her.
I'm the baby. I'm always last. Hi, Mommy. We've all heard the story about when you found out that you were pregnant with me. Daddy was thrilled. You, not so much. After all, you had 3 kids already, and the youngest was 7 years old, and all of them were in school. I want to take this time, Mom, to thank you for muddling through. Because otherwise, we wouldn't have had these last 15 years living so close to one another. We would talk every day, or as you called it, the "Are you still alive?" call. And if I missed a day, you would call me and say, "What's wrong?" You and Daddy did such a great job. We always came first. You advised but didn't demand, and let us all find our own way. Dad had a big personality, but we all knew who ran the show, and it was you. You had never-ending energy, a forgiving heart, and a fierce loyalty to both your family and friends. You always encouraged us to not sweat the small stuff, only to take on our worries yourself. In my work with families, there are times when kids will say, "I can't wait till I'm 18 and my parents will stop parenting me." I always laugh and tell them, my mom is in her 90s and still will ask if I'm dressed warm enough on a cold day in winter. Your love and care never faded and never ended. Your life was filled with lots of friends and activities, but I know you longed for Daddy and later for Gary every day. I know it never felt exactly complete without them. But you showed us all that life is not to be taken lightly, but lived and enjoyed. I promise you I will follow your lead and do just that. Bubby told you when you were complaining about my impending birth that if you eat garlic, you smell from it. And therefore, when you get to have some fun, sometimes there are consequences. Well, Mom, you had a wonderful and full life with lots of fun. And I don't think of this day as a consequence, but the result of a life well lived.
I just want to add 2 small things to that. The first is that my wife, who's also a rabbi, and I were just in a seminar for rabbis taught by the Yiddish Book Center. in Amherst. So I will do some huchel muchel research for you.
Thank you.
And I will say that my wife and I both grew up mostly in Wisconsin, but I started life in Maryland and then came here, and I never understood politics in Wisconsin because there was no huchel muchel there. But in Maryland and northeastern Pennsylvania, they go hand in hand. And the other thing, and Mari, you might have seen this from other families, but it's harder to see it in your own, is that it's not so rare for parents to work really hard to give their children education. And it's not so rare for parents to give their children unconditional love. But it's really rare for those things to intersect, for somebody to work hard and yet be able to show the love like your mom did. And that's just a real blessing. What can we know of death? We who cannot fully understand life. We study the seed and the cell, but the power deep within them eludes us. Though we do not understand, we accept life as a gift from God, and yet death, life's twin, we face with fear. But why be afraid? Death is a haven to the weary, a relief for the sorely afflicted. We are safe in death as in life. There is no pain in death. There is only the pain of we the living as we recall shared love, as we ourselves fear to die. Calm us, O God, when we cry out in our fear and our grief. Turn us anew toward life. Awaken us to the warmth of human love that speaks to us of you. We shall fear no evil as we affirm your dominion of life. We rise now for El Malei Rachamim and remain standing for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. El Malei Rachamim shochen bamromim Amtzei menucha nechona tachat kanfei hashina Im kedoshim utorim כזוהר הקיא מזכירים את נשמת בלה בת ברוכה שהלכה לעולמה. בעל הרחמים יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים, ויצור ברצוע החיים את נשמתה, אדוני הוא נחלתה. ותנוח בשלום על משכבה, ונאמר Amen. Compassionate Spirit, eternal God of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Beverly Itzkowitz, who has entered eternity. God of mercy, let her find refuge in your eternal presence, in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma diva chirute v'yamlich malchute, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imu. Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach L'Olam Almei Almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbra'ah v'yitroman v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei T'Kodesha B'richu. Le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata. Tush bechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimeru. Amen. May God grant peace to those who mourn and comfort all the bereaved among us. And let us say, Amen. The Kaddish prayer doesn't mention death. It did not originate as a prayer for mourners. It originated as a prayer celebrating the nearness of God's dominion and the hope that typical rabbinic activity would bring it. That is, the conclusion of a chapter of study. How fitting it is, as we conclude the chapter of the study of the book of Beverly, that we say this prayer that celebrates education for all that she gave and for all that she taught through her example. At this point of the service, we close by the family first and then anyone else who wishes, placing dirt upon the casket. This is a reminder of where we all end, but it is also an opportunity for someone who gave and loved and who no longer has many ways for us to show that physically, to receive one final act of chesed. We came into this world swaddled and protected, and so here too we leave it. So we use an ordinary instrument for this holy act, a shovel, to show that we're not in any rush, which your mom showed at the beginning with the straps. We use the shovel upside down, at least at first, which doesn't work so well, but helps us to be mindful. We also, because each of you had your own relationship with her, take up the shovel ourselves and just lean it down when you're done, and someone else can take it up after you.
Probably because it's all rock, he has that bucket full of dirt. Would you want him to pull that closer?
Yeah, that would be great.
Because
This is like, if you ever garden in this area, you know that it's not rocky soil. It's rocks with a little bit of soil. So we're going to bring the dirt closer.
Oh, they're gonna bring the dirt closer.
Yeah. It's
Zach, can you bring that over?
yeah. That's great.
We got to start with after.
No.
Yeah, you go first. Birth order.
I mean, I can make a guess at the
No, upside down. Upside down.
Yeah, you're first. Yeah. It's really okay. Just a little. Go your way. For God has called you. Lech v'Adonai yemach. Go your way. May God be with you. V'halach lifnecha tzidkecha. Kavod Adonai asvecha. May your righteousness go before you, and the glory of God receive you. If everyone would gather close to the family now, we traditionally close the service with some words of comfort. Please repeat after me. May God console you with all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. Hamakom yenechem etchem b'tosha'ar avlei Tzion v'Yerushalayim. God will comfort you amidst all who mourn in Zion and Jerusalem. Now go forth in peace to life. This concludes our service.
Thank you.
Do the hugging now.
She gets all my stuff.